All right, and welcome to Talk the Walk, episode 24. I don't have a title this week. We were on such a roll where I had the title before the show every week for 3 weeks, and then I dropped the ball on the fourth week. We're going to call this one
episode
Epic
24.
Rap Battle. So the first thing I was trying to think of something with Epic Rap Battle.
Right.
And we're going to get into the Epic Rap Battle between Rick Grimes and Walter White.
Rapping on the dead.
But before we do, though, who would win in a rap battle between the Governor and Negan? Who do you think is the better rapper? Is the thing.
Gosh, I'd have to say, knowing the Governor a little bit more, he seems like he's a more hip guy. And Negan's a little older, isn't he?
His would just be about his bat named Angelo, whatever his bat's name is. I can't remember right now. Oh God, what is the bat's name? I don't know.
He would be more like
the night.
He'd be more like, "Yo, kids, turn that stuff down."
Negan or the
Negan.
Governor? Negan. You think Negan would just not be? I think he would. I think he'd be into it.
You think he's hip?
I think he's hip to it, but
okay.
I think the Governor is smarter on his feet. Like I think the Governor is he's more quick with the.
Well, you know they had
the
that
words.
whole video of the musical between Rick and the Governor, so you know he's got some chops on him.
I should find that too while we're at it. So it's been a few weeks. We skipped a week last week. I think every time that we get in that mood where we're just like, oh yeah, I'm really enjoying doing this again, and something happens and we can't get together in the next week. What was last week? Something happened last week and we couldn't do it.
I don't remember.
I was at the beach. The last time we missed it was because I was at the beach.
And then
we probably just had to work late or something. Who knows?
So, yeah.
I don't know.
Nothing happened.
That is kind of the downside of like us working together is that like if something happens, it can't be like, well, I can't make it tonight, man. I think you just carried the show without me. Go on without me.
Right.
You know? We can't do that. It's if we're busy, we're both busy.
Right.
Yeah. So
and
then
it
kind of sucks.
And then if one of us doesn't want to do it, we can't use the man. I got to work tonight. Excuse.
Yeah, no.
Then you'd be like, no, you don't.
No, you don't. I know you don't have to work. Yeah, that's true. So what'd you do this week besides working?
Oh God, I've had
no frisbee tournaments.
No frisbee tournament. Did play some, but
okay. How's that going?
It's going.
I want to hear a report from you about frisbee golf every week.
I shot a 3 over last.
Is it
Monday.
just like golf? Like, is it like the rules are essentially like golf only with a frisbee?
Right.
Okay.
And then you have a big stand-up basket with
instead
chains
of a hole,
on it instead of a hole. And yeah, I mean, you still have like different discs do different things. So you have drivers, mid-range putters, things like that. So.
Oh wow, they're even called like drivers and putters and things like that.
You got long range, maximum range, mid-range.
Oh well.
Approach.
That's crazy.
It is. It's fun.
What's the like masters of the frisbee golf world?
Actually there's a couple different big tournaments.
Yeah.
The amateur United States Championships actually played every year in Rock Hill.
Really?
Yeah, at Winthrop University.
Right down the road.
They have one of the best courses in the world.
Wow.
On Winthrop's campus. It goes through their campus and everything.
That's crazy.
I played it a few times and then other than that it'd be the World Championships.
So like if you're into golf, which I'm not into golf by the way. I'm doing a whole golf bit right here. I don't know nothing about golf. But I did grow up in Augusta, Georgia, and there it's like the Myrtle Beach of golf. Like where you go to Myrtle Beach and everything is based on, it's all touristy. Well, like Augusta is everything is green jackets, golf, like green ranges, like everything's named like it.
Oh yeah,
that has nothing to do with golf. And I wonder, so in Rock Hill, do they do that? Is everything named after frisbees?
I would hope not.
Do they have like a farm baseball team named like the frisbee, the Terriers, because Terriers catch frisbees.
The Froffers.
The Froffers, yeah. The Cleveland Froffers.
The Froffers. Charlotte actually kind of used to be that.
A frisbee town?
Yeah, I mean, well, it still is, but it used to be Charlotte was
There's a frisbee town?
They used to be the mecca of disc golf.
No way.
Yeah, Charlotte has like, if you include Rock Hill and Charlotte, they're kind of right.
Yeah,
next
they
to each
are.
other.
I never thought about that. Yeah.
They probably have 5 or 6 of the top 10 courses in the country.
That's so bizarre to me that there's a Frisbee town.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it's not called Frisbee Town.
Right.
But like Augusta is like golf town.
Yeah.
There's a Frisbee town.
In the disc golf world, people know Charlotte.
That's crazy.
And a lot of the big name pros are from North Carolina, Charlotte, Raleigh area.
So no Frisbee golf. What else has happened this week though?
God, nothing.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of me.
It's been hot. I've been dealing with air conditionings.
Yeah, my air conditioning is frozen right now.
Yeah,
I don't know
sucks.
why. It does. It's hot in here.
It's getting hot in here.
Yeah, I've been working all week. I don't have anything interesting.
No, there's.
Yeah. But there has been a few interesting things to happen in the way of the Walking Dead news. We have two new characters this week. We have some interviews with some of the cast, some leaks from Robert Kirkman and Scott Gimple we're going to talk about. But probably the least important of all news was the epic rap battle.
The epic rap battle
between Rick Grimes and Walter White. Now, I am both a huge Breaking Bad fan and The Walking Dead fan.
Right.
And some people on the internet were trying to combine the two, and I think they're crazy.
Yeah.
They're not connected. just cause they threw like an homage in one Walking Dead episode. There was no zombies in Breaking Bad. Hint.
Right. I mean, you see movies and sometimes TV shows do that, but you know, it's done, and not
a lot
just
on
because,
TV shows,
and just because someone gives a shout out in a way to another TV show doesn't mean they're involved with each other.
Just like, J.J. Abrams' Star Trek has a scene where they're bursting out of warp into the wreckage of some other ship, and I think it was the first ship, the ship in the beginning of the movie. Mm-hmm. I forget the name of that one, but the funny thing is, I actually know it. I just can't think of it right now. But they're bursting through the wreckage of that, and then if you slow down the movie, I had a friend of mine show me this, and we actually did it. If you slow down the movie, you can see R2-D2 floating in space in the wreckage. It doesn't mean that they're in the same universe. There's no, galaxy far away. Although J.J. Abrams is doing both movies now. He's doing the Star Wars movie, so could there be a connection?
Who knows?
I don't know.
That reminds me. There was a news story the other day that I saw. It was on Facebook. It was an article about how Abrams was going to put William Shatner in the new Star Wars movie.
Oh God!
And the comments from the Star Wars fans, was just like he had shot their children or something like that. I was like, obviously I'm a Star Wars guy and I like Star Trek too. I'm kind of a both, but I was like, I think it would kind of be funny to see Shatner.
I think so. I think it would be hilarious.
Now, you don't.
I'm not really a Star Wars fan though.
So yeah, I mean, just the comments and stuff, but on Raiders of the Lost Ark, when Indy and the other guy Saul are picking up the Ark out of the case in the Well of Souls.
Yeah.
If you stop the movie and look at the engravings on the Ark, R2-D2 and C-3PO are on there.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy. There's also in Star Wars, one of the episodes, the one where they had the big council room with the little floating spheres. There's ETs in there. There's like a race of ETs.
Right.
Yeah. So maybe they're connected. I don't know. There's the whole thing. And then there's Blade Runner and Aliens somehow have a connection, which I'm not sure how that works.
I don't know how
I know there's some
either.
connection.
Yeah.
And so people saw blue meth and The Walking Dead
in the car
and took it literally. Yeah.
Right.
And besides that, so even based on, I don't know how we got on this tangent, but even based on the history of Breaking Bad, like even just, if you watch the show and the, I don't want to say lore because that doesn't seem right, but if you watch the show, Walter White's not the only person to ever make blue meth. He was just the first person in a really long time to make it. If you see that episode end behind me, let me know so I can start the next one.
Start another one.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and pull that up just in case. I noticed our last video, it stops like halfway through. So I don't know, but anyway, the epic rap battle people, they make these hilarious raps. A lot of them have George Watsky, and I like those, but the ones that don't have them, I don't think are that funny. And they did a Rick Grimes versus Walter White I'm not going to play the whole thing, but let's play a little bit while we're talking about it. Let me see if I can get it going. Oh, yeah, it always starts out with this guy going... Yeah.
Stay back, this is gonna get bad. I'm about to show this lab rat how to be a real dad. Grade AMC, removing your A1 day. Cause Sheriff Grimes rhymes dirty like my armpit stains. I'm a post-apocalyptic cop who's got a lot of issues. Pop a cap in you and splatter the brain you miss you. Cooking up blue sky and bigger lies for Skylar. Hatching little schemes like a dying MacGyver.
So, like,
one thing I was going to say, if I didn't know anything about, like, this...
Yeah,
I would say that guy sounds more like George Bush Jr. W.
Yeah, he sounds like W. Yeah. He kind of sounds like W or something from True Detective, maybe. Yeah,
like a Matthew McConaughey.
He's trying to do the long drawn out, like the way Rick kind of does, or Andrew Lincoln kind of does his Southern accent is like where he just kind of like. Yeah, like he kind of draws out the U's. That's what he's trying to do, I think. Now, as far as the look, though, I think they do look pretty funny. They look a lot like him.
Here's a hot dose. Let me watch you choke on the.
Oh, this is Walter White.
To me, like I'm a pizza on the roof. You're a loser. A failure to your whole entire.
I do like that line. You look up to me like a pizza on a roof.
I said stay back with the others while I finish this bitch like you finished your mother. You ain't the danger to me.
Oh, so I caught that line. So, it does throw a glimpse to the new season of the show. Carl, stay back with the others. Like he's,
right.
You know, Carl's always wanting to do his thing, and Rick's holding him back. Rick's the man. You know what I mean? He's the man holding him down. And then he says, "I'm gonna finish this bitch like you finished your mother."
That's awesome.
Waltz, knock all you want. I'll watch you get eaten on my fucking front lawn.
Your monsters don't frighten, and you can bite me. I'll be standing right here in my tiny Walter Whiting. I'll bury you faster than your partner stole your whole life. No one saw shit.
I noticed that not only does what's his real name? The guy that plays Walter White, Bryan Cranston. Yeah. Not only does Bryan Cranston wear tidy whities all the time.
Right.
He wears them in everything. I'm surprised he doesn't wear them in Seinfeld, but in Malcolm in the Middle, he's always in his tidy whities. And he's always in his tidy whities in Breaking Bad.
He's going to be running around that Godzilla movie in his tidy whities.
Yeah. He's going to be... Oh my God, if they do that,
that'd be so funny.
It would almost be like they have, like it would be just like a homage to the joke now. But if they did it, there would be a part of me that would think, like, I think it's in his contract somewhere that he has to do that.
I'll do it, but only if I do scenes in my underwear.
I'll do it, but only if there's underwear scenes. Only if there's no nudity.
Partial.
Let's see. So, epic rap battle, got that out of the way to check.
Well, some of those epic rap battles are good.
Yeah,
like you said, some of them are.
There's one. The doctor from Back to the Future, and then the doctor from Doctor Who. Doc. What's the guy from Back to the Future? What's his name? Doc Brown. Doc something versus Doctor Who. That's a good one. I liked it. I thought it was funny. And I'm trying to think of another one that's really funny.
Darth Vader versus Hitler is pretty good.
There's a Darth Vader versus Hitler. Yeah. That sounds good. All the ones with George Watsky. I don't know how you could look that up, but just look up epic rap battle George Watsky. All right, let's see. So in the news, we have a story. I don't know how much weight I want to put on this, but Robert Kirkman in an interview recently made a quote that it's been quoted a lot because it is kind of a scary statement for fans. And if you're one of the people that like don't like the show, but you like the comic and you're just waiting on the show to fail because you want to rub it in all the TV viewers' face. This is like a quote that you would trope. You know what I mean? Like this is a quote you would say. Robert Kirkman is quoted as saying that he thinks The Walking Dead will be lucky to make it to season 7.
And I would say,
fuck off, crazy. Robert Kirkman. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, okay. So first he says, which we're going to talk about a little bit Negan kind of thing later, but first he says Negan probably won't even show up till season 9.
Yeah, that's what he said like a few months ago.
Yeah, and now he's saying, we'll be lucky to make it season 7.
Can't make up his mind. Also,
like, again, I mean, AMC, I actually just read this earlier. They, as far as AMC, the company, they, their stock had taken kind of a hit.
Oh, really?
But they said the main thing that's boosting AMC is The Walking Dead.
The Walking Dead, yeah.
And, you know, it's a great TV show, but it's also business. Yeah. And AMC is going to keep this around as long as they can. They're not going to cancel it. I mean, that's basically saying we've got 2 seasons.
Yeah. This kind of reminds me of the World of Warcraft syndrome. So like recently in the last couple years, the subscribers of World of Warcraft, and if you don't know what World of Warcraft is, it's a massively multiplayer, you know, online game. And out of that genre, it is the biggest, and it was kind of it wasn't the first, but it was one of the first to really take off and be successful. Right. And it reminds me, I'm going to get back to The Walking Dead, but it reminds me of this because like a few years ago, they dropped from like 11 million subscribers to like 7 million or something like that. It was something, you know, crazy. But if a game today where it had 7 million subscribers, they'd be considered successful.
Right.
Like it's only because it was such a huge drop that it was, you know, that it's a negative view and people are like, oh, they're going under, they're not doing well. And it's like, no, they're doing well. They're doing great. They're just not doing as good as they were.
Right.
And as soon as like the press saw blood, like as soon as the people that were waiting on it to fail saw like the glimmer of like, oh, it's going to go under, then they couldn't wait to make those headlines. And I kind of feel like this is what's going on with this is that there's so many people there. Obviously it's successful. There's a bunch of people watching the show, but I think that there's this minority of people that can't wait to see it fail. And as soon as Robert Kirkman said something that remotely seemed like, well, there's kind of a, you know, there's an ending to this story somewhere, then they just couldn't wait to pounce on it and put those headlines out. And maybe I'm wrong in saying that.
I mean, I can see that.
Definitely. But it seems like fodder to get clicks. Like that's right. What it seems like to me. But and I'll give you an example. The article, it's actually on comicbook.com, which is crazy. Comicbook.com is too normal of a domain name. Like that could be about anything.
Right.
But I guess somebody had to own it, right?
Right.
So I'm not criticizing them. I don't know nothing. They probably have different people that write different articles. But this article, the headline is Robert Kirkman thinks The Walking Dead will be lucky to make it to season 7. Advertisement. Giant picture of Robert Kirkman doing this, which he makes that face a lot.
Right.
And I mean, the picture is bigger than the article. And then, I could literally just do a table read of this 3-sentence article that they have that basically just says, yeah, Robert Kirkman said that. Could this be the end of the show? I don't know. End of the article.
Right.
Like it's just to get people to click so they see this advertisement. But in the article, I will tell you, it says, it was in the letter column for issue 126 of the Walking Dead comic book, which, I looked in, I'm not reading the comic, but I'm kind of keeping up with what's going on. And, recently some really cool stuff happened in the comic world. So the TV show, it's actually events that I think the TV show has to eventually get to. But in the back of Image Comics, they always have like a letter to the writer or like a letter to so-and-so, and then they do like a response back. And it was in that he says, just because something goes, a long time doesn't mean. So someone basically says what we've been saying about the X-Files syndrome, where, you know, it was a really good show. It kind of came to a head at one point in the show, and then it just kept going because, like you were saying, it is a business. It was one of the only things that was making Fox money.
Oh yeah.
And so Fox said, well, we want to keep it going because we gotta make sure that our investors are happy. And so they kept it going. And so I'm a little worried about that syndrome with AMC, where AMC, like you were just saying, could be like, you know, well, The Walking Dead is one of the things that's making us money. Let's keep it going for even longer. And Robert Kirkman says to the writer was like worried this was going to happen too. And so he was saying, I want to make sure that The Walking Dead doesn't just keep going, and you just keep milking it. Maybe this guy writing was a listener of our show. I don't know. Yeah. One of the 6 people. My mom, your mom, this guy. And in response, Robert Kirkman says, just because something goes on a long time doesn't mean that it's being milked. We'll be lucky to make it to season 7, but if we go beyond that, it'll be because we have a story to tell. And so out of that entire sentence, a fan is saying, I don't want the show to go on too long. I want you to have a complete story and end it. And so that's A, point A. Point B is, out of that entire sentence, the only thing that the headline took was, we'll be lucky to make it to season 7. And then point C is, whenever Robert Kirkman said this, I think his intention is, basically like whenever you go see a band and they're always like, thank God for the fans. You guys are the real rock stars. That's only partially true. I mean, truthfully, they're the rock stars. We're the fans. They're just kind of like happy that we're there. I kind of feel like this is something like that where he's like, we'll be lucky to make it to season 7. Like every season is just, we're lucky to have it, and it's a godsend, and we're going to make sure it counts. I don't necessarily think he's saying, I don't think there's back room conversations going on where Robert Kirkman's like, come on, please just give us season 6.
Right. No,
if
definitely.
we just have season 6, we will prove to you that this is a good show. Like, there's no way that's going on.
No, not at all.
This is the breadwinner for AMC.
Yeah. And depending on how, he could be saying, we'll be lucky. Like, hey, we never expected it to even get to season 7. So we'll be lucky if we get to season 7. At this point, though, it could go, like he said, like Gimple said, it could go 10 seasons, or it could go longer. I mean, there are shows like the X-Files that did that, but there's also shows that
I've referenced that a lot. I've referenced the X-Files thing a lot. Like we've said that we're on episode 24. I've probably mentioned that like 5 or 6 times. So that has come up on a lot of episodes of this show. And I recently finished the X-Files, and I gotta say that I would have been happy if it ended where it did, but it wasn't like the rest of the show is still good.
Oh yeah.
Like, it just wasn't like Breaking Bad was like, you could tell that story ended where they always intended it to end. Like, I don't feel like they had 3 seasons planned and then said, oh, we're going to start.
Well, see, and you got to take on like say Breaking Bad. I mean, that show couldn't go, because at some point he had to get caught or get killed or something. So there was it
could have been Dexter.
Right. I mean, there had to have been something with that. But with The Walking Dead, you've got, I mean, there's never the story could theoretically
it's a more open-ended
go on
story.
forever.
Yeah. It is a more open-ended story.
And then, and if they're doing the spinoff, I mean, you've got that as well that's going to keep going. I mean, it's not, I don't think it's going anywhere anytime soon.
No, this quote, these articles that mention this quote, they're all intentionally misleading. Well, they're trying to get people to click.
I mean, I told you that I saw that story earlier. That should be the title
of this episode. We should title this episode, Robert Kirkman says that we'll be lucky to get season 7. And then people will click, like, let's title the episode, The End of The Walking Dead.
The End of The Walking Dead, possibly announced.
Yeah.
But, it's like that episode I was telling, the article I told you about earlier that popped up on my phone. It was like, spoilers for season 5, and the headline was, date for season 5 set.
Yeah.
And then I click on it and they're like, it's probably going to be around the same time it started last time.
In October.
And I was like, wow, that told me nothing. And then all the spoilers in the article were all stuff from that Gimple interview. So, yeah, I mean, that's what it's trying to get people to read.
You know what I hate too about these, like the same type of thing, like on Facebook, the articles that always pop up is like, you won't believe what happens in this video, or like, you will be amazed when you see what this cat does, or like, it will break your heart to see this baby's response. Like,
right.
They're telling me how to feel before I click on it, Like, when's it going to get to the point where article headlines are just going to be like, you will be amazed?
Click. Amazed.
Yeah, like they're telling me how to feel before I click on it. I don't know. That's not exactly what the same article on comicbook.com is doing.
Yeah, I mean, it is definitely an eye catcher to get you to open their article, and then, you know, again, it's not going anywhere.
Let's see. I'm trying to figure out how to put this in a certain order. So I guess in that same conversation about how Scott Gimple or Robert Kirkman recently said that the show would be lucky to get to season 7. He's also a few months ago said that season 9. I guess the good news is that we already know they're having a season 6. They haven't even mentioned when maybe or maybe not we'll get signed for season 6. Like they've already written all of season 5, and I believe they even know the approach. They probably have a good idea. At least Scott Gimple and Robert Kirkman have a good idea of what the approach of season 6 even is going to be.
Oh yeah. Well.
And then there may be some question about what happens after that, you know?
No, definitely. I mean, the article I was just reading a minute ago before we started said, you know, they already know how they've got the finale written, done. They're just figuring out some of what? Of 5.
Oh, okay, of the season.
I
thought you meant of the whole show.
No, they said, you know, they've already completely wrote the first half of season 5. They pretty much completely wrote the second half. They've done the finale, and they're just kind of filling in leading up to it. So, I mean, 5, obviously, if they already have a finale, they know what's going to go into season 6. I mean, they're not going to write a finale and say, oh, well, this could be it. So, I mean, it's not going, but
it's happening, baby.
October sometime. But yeah, I mean, and along with that, you know, they've already talked about new characters, that'll be coming in for this season.
I don't know. So I guess let's talk about the one that we don't know the actor first. So we have 2 new characters and then speculation on Negan's appearance. The 2 new characters that we have, Burton, like literally right before we went on the air today, we read about Burton. It's news, you know, that came out today. We don't have an actor yet. We don't know who's playing Burton. What if Burton was like a sock puppet?
Right.
Like, Maggie loses her mind, right?
Whoa, Burton.
Yeah, she takes one of those dry milk carton crates, and she puts little googly eyes on it.
There you go.
That's Burton.
Well, yeah, okay, so
Burton ends up killing Maggie.
They do say that Burton has one leg. Maybe Burton is Maggie's imagination of Herschel when he's younger, because they said he's 17.
Yeah, but that doesn't explain why his name's Burton.
I don't know. Maybe Herschel was known as Burton when he was younger.
Maybe.
But okay, so Burton obviously, like I just said, supposedly has one leg.
One leg.
They didn't say how he lost it. Maybe they ate it.
Ooh, yeah. All right. So, yeah, I bet that's what happened. So, all right, Burton. So, the description on Burton was one of the people that Rick and his group recruits inside and outside Terminus, to help to get revenge on the people of Terminus.
So, Burton apparently is someone in Terminus that
lost a leg.
He's a 17-year-old, so he's, you know, probably a little blue, rough around the edges kind of thing, you know, and
I miss my leg.
Right. And they said he's got a really good the character description was he has a really good outlook and isn't down on anything and stuff like that. So
sorry.
So yeah, I mean, you know, he's probably some guy maybe that brings them food or something like that. You know, Rick's like, man, what you doing messing with these people? And, you know, obviously at some point, you know, they're going to try and work him over to maybe try and escape or help them do something. That sounds like.
So I got the I just had a stroke of genius. I just had a stroke right then.
Ooh, sorry.
I'm paralyzed on my left side now. I'm looking at the names on the floor in the scene because I want to see if there's a Burton on the floor. And it looks like we have Joy from Atlanta, Brian Case, Steven, Thomas Richards, Matt Ayers. Didn't we used to have an Ayers that worked with us? It was like a manager or something.
Yeah. Sounds right.
Sarah Addison, also from somewhere in Georgia. Scott Jackson, Kristen Miller, something Freeman, Gordon Freeman maybe, from Half-Life. Christopher Adams, Robert Welford. No, I don't see a Burton anyway. But I was, if Burton's name had been on the floor, we maybe would have a little bit more of a clue of what the names on the floor are. Ben Ross, Mike Smith. I'm just going through now to see if any of them, because I actually found somebody went through and like typed them out so you could read them. David Cornett. And I will say this, all of these names are from Roswell, Marietta. Let's see, all in Georgia. Yeah, all in Georgia. Atlanta, Wiltshire. Where's Wiltshire?
Oh man,
sounds like something on Lord of the Rings. But yeah, so no Burton. Dang,
Burton.
that would have been awesome if there was a Burton.
We were maybe the first to find this out.
Yeah. God, that'd have been.
We should just spread it anyway.
We first always. Yeah, we should just spread it. Yeah, so Burton on the floor.
He's on the floor. You can't really see it.
Yeah, he's off camera somewhere, written on the floor. But dude, I bet his leg got eaten.
Could be.
I bet they ate his leg because I've heard that the story in the comics is they kept the victims alive and they ate them in pieces because they wanted the meat fresh. And it probably had something to do with the spreading of the disease too. Maybe if they're dead, then I don't know. But
the meat would spoil.
The whole like disease being spread through biting and all that kind of stuff. None of that makes any sense.
No,
so they can't add any kind of like scientific credential to like, we have to eat them in pieces, otherwise it'll spread the disease, because that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I'm still confused on the whole way people turn. So
I'm not confused. I know it's all bullshit. There's no way that it works. But yeah, so his name's on the floor, but I bet he is from inside Terminus. I bet he is part of the cult, but I bet he's like kind of I bet he's kind of dissing,
Yeah, he's just going along with it to go along with it, and
then they ate his leg.
And they're like, "Hey, this isn't right."
Yeah, they ate his leg, and then he's like, I'm teaming up with these guys. They're wanting to screw him over. I want to screw him over now because they ate my leg, and I bet he joins the group.
He's gonna be like, "Y'all aren't gonna eat my leg, are you?" No, man. Cool.
Yeah, you guys aren't gonna eat my other leg, right? All right. I'm joining you guys.
No, we gonna eat your arms.
Yeah, but in this, so what do you think about this whole part of the description? One of the people Rick's group recruits. So Rick's group recruits. So we know Rick's not gonna burst out of the train car and kill them all right then, because he's got to take it slow and build up a recruitment, it sounds like.
Right.
So I wonder if they join the Terminus people for a little while and kind of live with them and do their thing.
I think it's going to be...
Eat Burton's leg.
I think I don't think they'll necessarily be like, hey, y'all just come join our group and whatever.
I don't think Terminus would be like that.
No, I don't think so either. But I think they're going to... I mean, you can't just keep them in a boxcar for a long extended period of time. I mean, it's just not feasible. And if you're talking about, now I don't know what time of year you're talking, but if this is like any time between April and October, it'd be 200 degrees inside that boxcar.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
In the
in
heat
some
of
parts
Georgia.
Of Georgia. Yeah.
I mean, yeah. So, I mean, they're going to have to let them out and to do something. And obviously there's people going to have to guard him and watch him. And he's probably, he might be one of the people that just kind of, like I said, brings them food or kind of hangs outside of wherever they are just to make sure,
I bet
you send.
feel
would
like
you
that
not
might be
send
the case.
Maggie or the hot Latina army chick
to try to seduce him.
him?
Oh yeah, that's why the hot Latino chick there. That's why she's there.
That's why she's got the makeup and the hoop earrings and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, what 17-year-old boy in the apocalypse?
17. I'm 27.
Right? And he only has one leg. I mean, his options are going way down.
He might. You never know. He might have she might cut his leg off. No, I really feel like his leg's gonna get eaten. I feel like that's kind of I think they're throwing us a little bit of a clue on that one.
Could be.
I think
that'd be awesome.
I think so. I'm glad we had that revelation on the show too, because I didn't think about that beforehand.
Right.
But I'm worried. All right, so from recruits from inside Terminus. So, and I think Burton is an example of that. Recruiting from outside Terminus.
Yeah.
So, do they get to leave Terminus?
I mean, that's kind of vague, because if you say one of the people, would you say is Rick's group? If you said maybe Rick's group recruits, now you could still consider
Abraham, what?
Or maybe Tyrese or somebody recruiting people outside of Terminus.
Oh, what if they find out what's going on?
Right.
But how would...
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. They would have to find just random people outside of Terminus. But hey, y'all wanna come raid this place with us?
You know what? I kind of see something going down. So if I were writing the show, now I'm not as good of a writer as Scott Gimple, but just as speculation to what might happen. If I were writing the show, I would have Carol and Tyrese and the baby show up at Terminus and somehow, just like Rick did, somehow get the suspicion that something's going on.
Right.
And that their people is there. And that they're being held there against their will. Like, for example, if they get there and they start seeing them wearing, their clothes, and they see Carl's hat.
Yeah.
Oh,
Carl's
they would
like that.
That hat is gone. They'll take the hat for sure. Somebody will be wearing that hat.
Right.
Carol will come in, see the hat, know what's going on, because this is what's going to happen. I'm figuring it out now. I'm sure, dude. The hat has always been illustrated in the show as being super important to Carl and to Rick. They wouldn't just leave the hat willy-nilly. So someone says, "Oh yeah, some guys came through." Carol says, "Hey, what's the deal with I noticed your hat. I think I know who might own that hat." And they say, "Oh yeah, some people came through and they let me have the hat because I was getting sunburn on my face or something." I don't know. And Carol's like, "Okay, yeah.
Which way did they go?"
Yeah, which. And so she knows they're there, and so maybe she could be working from the inside, to try to help them.
Right.
And Rick is smart enough to not go, whenever they've got him chained up, walking from one train car to another, to go, "Oh, hey, Carol,
hey.
Carol,
it's me.
Yeah.
Look at me." What I would like to know is how the other group wound up in the train car. Oh yeah. Hey, it ended, by the way.
Thank you.
So did Glenn and Maggie and them show up, and did they run through that gauntlet too? Kind of thing, like almost immediately.
Right. Yeah, we haven't heard their side of the story.
How long were they actually there before they wound up in that boxcar? Because my thing is, if say Carol and Tyrese show up, if they put the other group in there immediately, why are they going to put them in there immediately? Or
right, yeah, I know what you mean.
If did they get to hang out and then they realized what was going on there and they were like, screw this, and then they put them in the boxcar, and then somehow Tyrese and Carol figure it out and they're like, well, instead of like going against them, let's kind of join them,
yeah,
and do this, because you would think, I mean, with Terminus, you don't have like just either you're going to keep your numbers as it is, and anybody that comes in is either going to be, food or whatever.
They have to, like,
or you're going to have to recruit people to
exactly,
be in your group. So they can't just automatically put these people in a boxcar, because that's not the way to recruit people to your group. That's not, hey, we're going to lock you up in this really hot boxcar, but
eventually you'll learn to love us.
You're going to like us.
Yeah. No, right. I know what you mean. Yeah, I wonder how they ended up in the boxcar in the first place.
Right.
Could they have, and that might be the opener.
And, they could have been,
take
them on, hey, this is our rec room. This is the game room. This is where we hang out. This is where we cook and eat people.
Yeah. Then this is the, foosball tables. Right. And then and then they go, hey, what were you, what? What was the last room? What was that room? And then, but if they just keep going with it, like, oh yeah, we've been eating people since the breakout, I was
eating people before the breakout.
I was worried that it was going to be an issue. And now I know you guys play ball too. We're good. Yeah, maybe that's what it is.
We've got Tyree's like, we just found this baby. We're going to cook it later. Yeah. We're just fattening it up.
We're trying to figure out where the ratio to, keeping them alive longer versus, and they produce more meat versus, we don't want to give up any more supplies. We've been working on that ratio. So that's why we got the baby.
Well, one other thing that they're talking about, that they've already announced that, I can't remember the guy's name now, Gareth. He's going to be a main character for next season.
Yep.
Now they've already, established that
I still haven't heard about Abraham and them yet. So last week we talked about that, but I still haven't heard anything on that.
Well, what I'm thinking is okay, so if Gareth is like a mix of all these different characters, and you're saying, he might be kind of sort of what the leader of the Hunters was.
Mm-hmm.
And they were talking about, this was another article I was reading, the Hunters were they weren't always cannibals. They turned to cannibalism in desperation.
Yeah. I think so.
For my look of Terminus,
they don't seem desperate.
Don't seem very desperate.
Yeah.
But
they do seem like they have a past where, something happened.
Right. And I think that will, my question is, if they are indeed cannibals,
yeah,
how did they get to that point? Because they're growing vegetables and they're doing all this stuff. That doesn't really, like I said, it doesn't kind of say to me, hey, these are a bunch of cannibals.
Doesn't scream cannibalism?
No, it doesn't.
We were I don't think I talked about this last week, but we were before the season finale. One of our coworkers, Chris, we were having the conversation of, well, why does everybody think they're cannibals? And I think it's just because there's cannibals in the comic.
Right.
And they had that really big grill. And because I heard, so I kept hearing these different things. All right. Before they got to the prison, I kept hearing from people that read the comic. And I eventually did read up to that point. But at the time, whenever season 1 first aired, my first introduction to The Walking Dead was episode 1, season 1.
Yeah.
And everybody kept saying, just wait till they get to the prison. Just wait till they get to the prison. So much crazy stuff. I don't even know how they're going to put it on TV. It's going to be wild what happens in the prison. And then we got to the prison. And then everybody kept saying, man.
Just wait after the prison. Yeah.
Yeah. Wait till you see the Hunters. The Hunters are crazy. Wait till you see the Hunters. I don't even know how they're going to put it on television. It's so crazy.
Right.
And then, so I think that just that social conversation has been happening. And so people have been like, well, the next group they run into, if they're creepy, they're probably the Hunters. And these aren't the Hunters.
No,
for sure.
No.
For sure. But I think that's why we think they're cannibals. And I do think they're cannibals.
I do too.
But this person, Chris, he was saying, I get that. I get that that's the rumor on the internet, but just watching the show, if I had never seen anything but the show, why would I think they're eating people here? Why would that be the first thing that popped in my mind when I saw the big grill?
And the only thing, right, because everyone's been talking about it.
Yeah, exactly.
And if you do take that one scene where they're running in the little gauntlet thing and Rick looks and sees that body, that doesn't necessarily mean cannibals. That just means there's a dead person over there.
Right, there's dead bones, and there was a pile of bones.
Right.
Now, this is a zombie show. So, I mean, I don't know. I think they are, and I think the evidence is the pile of bones.
Right.
But at the same time, I totally get the whole point of, like, well, there was no hints that it was that.
You know,
there was, though. I thought of this while I was saying it. So, there was hints that there was that, because that same episode, not Herschel. Let's say Herschel. Michonne was talking about how there was no food around. They couldn't catch anything. There was no animals around.
True.
But then you could also say, well, that's misleading because maybe there's no animals around because Terminus is such a big community. They're killing everything around there and eating it, you know?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, I
feel like they're eating Burton's leg. I really do.
I think they are. I mean, I think it will turn out that they're cannibals. But I do think that it's going to be a different...
They're not out of desperation,
it's
though.
Not a... Yeah. Again, I think it harkens back to this whole cult thing. I think it's more of a cult thing, eating people, than like...
Oh, yeah.
You know, like eating the body of Jesus by eating
we're cannibals.
The wafers, you know, I guarantee it's going to be something like that. They're like taking in these powers, or, you know, it's going to be something crazy like that.
The body of Christ. That's funny. Yeah, no, I agree with you. They're definitely, that's definitely what it is. I think they are cannibals. I think it's cult related.
And obviously, I mean, if you think in an actual zombie apocalypse, at some point, people are going to eat people.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's going to happen. Yeah. So that's probably another reason why everyone's saying that, you know, it's, this is the cannibals. And if the hunters never make an appearance in the show, then, you know, this is kind of like their version of the hunters for the TV show. And who knows? I mean, it's not to say they might not run into another group of cannibals on their way to Washington or wherever they. I mean, you know, there's just no telling what you're going to run into. So it would be a big surprise if it turned out they weren't.
Yeah, and I wonder if that would be a letdown.
Probably.
I think for me it would be.
I think so too.
I think that I'd be let down if they weren't cannibals, but at the same time, like Scott Gimple never said they were.
Exactly.
Like, everybody just sort of just went off on this rampage that they are. The other, so we did have another besides just Burton. We also have actor Seth Gilliam, not Gilligan. Seth Gilliam is a new show regular. Now, I put in the notes that he was Father Gabriel. I don't know that he's Father Gabriel, but he's a mystery character. They haven't revealed who he is. But they have this, so he's from The Wire, and I got his IMDb. Let me go ahead and pull that up so we can talk about other things he's been in. But the description, he's described as having two sides, displaying a friendly, it says puckish. What is puckish? Puckish humor? I never heard that. Yeah. I thought it said pukish at first.
Right, that's why I did too.
Like, this guy's so funny, it makes me sick. He had this puckish humor, but also having a haunted side stemming from a dark secret. A lot of people on the internet are saying this is Father Gabriel, which I talked about how I think that Father Gabriel may be involved in Beth's disappearance as well.
Right. And the cross in the back of the window.
Right.
The car and all that stuff.
He played somebody in The Wire. I never watched The Wire. Did you watch The Wire?
No, I didn't.
It's one of those shows that, like, when it was on TV, I was kind of like, this is kind of like just a trap for normal TV watchers. I don't consider myself a normal TV watcher.
Right.
Like, I don't watch like The Voice, and I don't watch like Law and Order. Like, you know, like if I watch something, I'm planning on like submerging myself in it. Like I'm going to be on the forums. I'm going to do a podcast about it.
Right, exactly.
like I don't consider myself, I'm a professional TV watcher. Exactly. You know what I mean? And The Wire was never, like, it never seemed like it would have enough source material for me to enjoy it, you know? But I've had a lot of people that I trust their opinion on shows tell me to watch The Wire.
Yeah, exactly.
So I don't know, maybe I didn't give it a chance, and maybe I should. We'll start the Wire podcast. We'll start next week.
Next week.
But he was, let's see if I can see what character he was in The Wire. Cause I know a lot of people saw that show and they'll know who it was. Oh, he was in Law and Order. But, I think almost
everybody that's been an actor ever has been in Law & Order, at least one episode.
Law & Order.
There's like 12 of them you can be on, too, so.
Okay, The Wire, he was Sergeant Ellis Carver. Also, Deputy Ellis Carver. Does that really count as two characters?
He got a promotion.
Yeah, so that's who he was on The Wire. He must have been a main character because he was in like 60 episodes.
Yeah.
He was also in Oz.
Well, see, that's another show too that everyone's like, "Oh, man, Oz was so great."
I watched part of Oz.
I never watched Oz either. So.
I watched part of it. It was all right. He was in CSI Miami, Mercy, a lot of TV shows. Betrayed, Skins, The Good Wife. Hope he wasn't the wife. Yeah, a lot of TV shows. And he just looks like a guy. And there's nothing.
Right.
He doesn't have a cross tattooed on his head or anything. So I don't know why people are thinking he's Father Gabriel, except for by his description. And I hope he's good. I hope he's good. If anybody watched The Wire and they think he was terrible, please email me and let me know, and I'll report it next week. But I think he's going to be good.
Yeah, I mean, at this point,
and I know that the Father Gabriel somehow, I don't know the story. I don't know his story well enough, but I know that he goes with them when they go to Washington or whenever they go to place just outside of Washington,
Alexandria.
Yeah, I know that he's part of them going in that direction, and that's right now. We know where they are. They're in a boxcar in Terminus,
right? And
we know where they're going to be. We know that eventually they have to work their way to Alexandria because they got to get to the Negan storyline because Scott Gimple and everybody's talking about that. So we know they're going that way. But what makes them start moving from here to there right now is just Eugene.
Right.
And I don't know that's enough to make Rick. Like Rick's not going to want to go there.
At this point, no. I mean, Rick could care less about that.
I don't think he's going to wish him luck and hope that he gets there and fixes everything. And that's it.
And the other thing is, at this point, we don't even know. I mean, we obviously know that Abraham believes Eugene. We don't even know if the girl believes.
He's full of crap. I don't think Eugene's.
Right.
I don't think Eugene's who he says he is at all.
And so we don't know that.
Or if he is, he dies.
Right.
Like we find out it's absolutely true. Like just as like Negan smashing him in the face with a baseball bat.
Right. Well, it's like, Glenn. You don't know that Glenn believes him or anybody at this point. So something big would have to happen as far as him. He would have to reveal. To me, the first thing if I was Glenn and they told me all this, I'd have been like, so what's the deal?
But not if you thought he was crazy. So that's what that's what I was about to say is like, not if you thought he was crazy. So whenever someone says, and this happens at our job a lot, that when someone says something to you that is just obviously out of the ordinary crazy, you don't challenge them on it.
No, not at all.
You just go, oh yeah? Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Yeah.
Government's watching you on your webcam on your laptop. Okay. Right. I got you. Yeah. The bastards. Those bastards.
Damn them.
Yeah. You don't continue the conversation. And that might be what Glenn's thinking.
And that's why I think, if Glenn thinks that, how is Rick or anybody else in that group going to be convinced to follow him?
Yeah.
So something besides that will have to happen. Or
if they really thought it was true, he could start a cult all of his own.
Right.
Like if they really thought it was true, they would follow this guy all the way to Washington. Like the whole group would be dedicated to, let's get this guy to Washington.
If you're a Terminus, you go, hey, this fucking guy knows how to.
Don't eat us, all right?
Eat him.
This guy can fix everything, but maybe Terminus, they don't want to give it up.
They don't want to give it.
They don't want to.
They eat him first.
Yeah, they don't want it to go back to normal because they want to keep eating people, and in normal society they can't do that anymore.
Okay, so this is just a complete aside. Has nothing.
All right, go ahead.
Just up on here.
Okay.
That threw me off because I was looking at it.
Yeah. And
I was like, hold on, he just put the eye patch on the wrong eye. And then I realized he was looking in the mirror. I was like, man, they messed up.
Some people not watching the video version.
I was like,
we were watching an episode of with the governor on it, and yeah, he was in the mirror. You thought it was on the wrong eye patch. What if they did it just to fuck with people? Like, there's one scene in the whole show where the eye patch is on the wrong eye.
Have you ever? One of my favorite movies of all time is Young Frankenstein.
Oh, I do like that movie.
And there's a scene.
That's who does that movie? That's I'm gonna look it up when I'm
talking about who made the movie. Mel Brooks.
Mel Brooks. That's what I was trying to think of. Yeah, Mel Brooks.
There's a scene where Dr. Frankenstein and Igor are there in the hump, and he goes, wasn't that hump on the other side? And he's like, what hump?
What eye patch?
I love that.
Wasn't that eye patch on the other eye? What eye patch? Oh god.
So
Seth Gilliam, The Wire,
new guy, and the thing is, if he is
Eugene,
no, I'm talking about if he is Father Gabriel, does he even show up in the first half of the season? Well,
I don't know. They're calling him a regular though.
Right.
So here's what I was thinking. Because the point I was making is, other than Eugene, they got no reason for. So that explains Abraham. Abraham is following Eugene to Washington, and Abraham's sidekick, Tomb Raider girl.
Yeah.
She's gonna follow him just because I think she's following Abraham.
Right.
But Rick wouldn't go. So what could lead Rick? So I don't know the Father Gabriel story. I don't know how it may connect to Beth, but Beth would be enough reason because of Maggie and Glenn. That she would be enough reason to move to Alex to go to Alex.
And to Rick, she would be family. So I mean, he would go after her.
Yeah, I think so.
And the thing is if you look at the description of his character, and let's say, I mean, we're assuming that he's the person that took Beth.
Yeah,
I don't think he would have taken her for malicious reasons, because you wouldn't describe someone as being friendly, puckish humor,
pukish,
and then
but with a dark past.
But he does have a dark past. But I think it's.
What if he's like?
I think it's. Well, what I was gonna say is, I think it's more like what we talked about before. Like maybe that house that Beth and Daryl out was like some sort of trap.
Oh yeah, and I forgot all about that.
And Father Gabriel, he knows that this is a trap, and so he sees this girl, and he's like, "I'm going to rescue this girl," and he takes her, not necessarily in a bad way.
He could be, but then again, Father Gabriel. So the theme to this season could be leading into, not human trafficking. No, the scene, like the theme to this season could be, I don't know how to word it, but Rick and Abraham and, all the men of the group could be forced to do things they wouldn't normally do based on keeping Eugene and Maggie and Carl safe. And Father Gabriel could be along that same thing. He may be, helping somebody, retrieve people from these traps.
That's what I was thinking.
Right. Yeah. Against his will for, somehow.
Or, I mean, I don't like it.
Like in exchange for keeping him safe. Or
I don't know in the comic, as far as Father Gabriel, if he was a true father, like a priest of some sort. Now, if he was, let's say you've got a true father, a Christian, whatever, and then you have this terminus cult. Maybe he is like some guy that's out to maybe what they're talking about, never again and all that stuff on. Maybe it has to do with, these other people trying to like break up this.
You think
cult.
Father Gabriel's knocking on doors selling Bibles and
he
knocked on Terminus's door.
He knocked on the wrong door, and he knows that these people are trying to eat people and stuff like that. So he's trying to stop them, and maybe he's not the best person in the world. But at some point, if that's the case,
if that's the story though, then what's his dark past?
Right. I mean, who knows? But at some point too, if we're going to say that they're going to go after Beth, they're going to have to figure out that Beth is with him.
Sorry, it doesn't say. It actually says dark secret.
Could be.
I think he took Beth. I think that. So I don't know how far the Saviors, Negan's group. I don't know how far the Saviors go from Alexandria. I don't know that they would be in Georgia.
Or maybe he's fleeing from them or something.
Yeah, I think that there's a possibility that the Saviors, from what I understand, I never read this far in the comic, and I want to read the comic because I hate repeating that on the podcast. Right. I keep saying that. But again, I do kind of keep up with what happened and what's going on just because of this show. And what if from what I understand, the Saviors kind of have an agreement with certain groups. Like, we'll kill the zombies, we'll keep you safe in this area, but you kind of got to let us pillage and plunder how we want. You know? What if Father Gabriel, maybe he may be, getting security and protection from the Saviors, and he may not like their plan with Beth,
but he needs
their protection, and he can't do nothing about it. And so he ends up somehow with the group at Terminus. I don't know how.
Right. That's what I was saying. I mean, how do Rick and that group, once they get away from Terminus, if what gets them away is more than just Eugene, like if it is Beth, how do they know that Beth is wherever?
Well, I'm saying here's one thing that could happen. And I really wish I'd read the comics. One thing that could happen is Father Gabriel, very begrudgingly and does not want to, but has to let the Saviors take Beth as one of their wives, and he knows they're heading to Alexandria. He doesn't want to be any party to it anymore, but he can't do anything about it, and he, shamefully leaves that group, or gets away, sneaks away in the dead of night, or whatever he can do. And then, be it during the Terminus events or after the Terminus events, runs into Rick and them. Somehow they get on the conversation of what he had to do. They know he's got this dark secret. They know that he's got this thing that he's been living with. Now, they'd have to build that story for a while. It couldn't just be they ran into him and they're like, hey, this girl named Beth? It would have to be something that kind of built for a while. And then somehow they figure out that, the girl's Beth that he's talking about. We've got to go to Alexandria to get Beth. Abraham wants to go to Alexandria, or wants to go to Washington with Eugene.
Right.
That's what gets them all on that road.
I mean, maybe his dark secret is that he kidnapped Beth.
Yeah.
I mean, that could definitely be.
I think that's my theory. Now, like I said, I follow what's going on in the comics without actually reading them. I don't know that that's the case.
Right.
So if I just gave a spoiler, I really did just guess. I don't know crap about Father Gabriel.
No, I don't.
He's not an important enough a character, like in Jesus. Like, there's another character named Jesus.
You're right.
They're not important enough characters that they would show up on like Reddit sites and things. Like, I don't know what their storyline is. So, for all I know, I'm 100% wrong. But that's just something that I could see happening just from watching a TV show.
Right, and again, it could be the only thing from the comic could be the name.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's another thing. Who knows?
Whatever maybe in the comic, he didn't have a pucka humor. He was just an asshole or something. I mean,
he wasn't even a father.
Right.
He was a dad.
He was a dad. And yeah, I mean, that's really good. I like that,
I'm just thinking that something has to get the other half of the group heading that direction.
Right.
And I mean, if they defeat Terminus, like, they're not going to die in Terminus. And I say defeat, like, if they somehow kill every single person in Terminus, why not close the gates to Terminus and just live there?
Right.
Like, why would they continue to Washington? And we know they're going to do that. And so I'm just looking for clues as to how that
exactly.
happens.
That was my whole thing with, the prison and Woodbury and all that stuff. Why would you ever leave?
Yeah.
And you have
something has to happen.
Something has to happen.
And right now there's no governor to screw things up. You know? There's Lieutenant Yar.
Right, exactly.
Let's see. So what else? Scott Gimple. So obviously the other one, Negan, Scott Gimple's. So we've had all these quotes from Robert Kirkman about Negan, but not from Scott Gimple, really.
Right.
I don't think he even in the Larry King interview, I don't think he mentioned it.
I don't think he did either. No.
I think this is the first ever quote about it, where he says, someone obviously asked him, is he going to show up in the storyline, and he said, I wouldn't expect it too soon.
He said it's definitely coming, more than likely. But,
99% sure that it's coming.
But and he said that they had talked about who would play Negan and then things like that. So, you know.
Did he mention any names?
He didn't mention
He just said they had a list.
He had yeah. So, I mean.
So, I think Bruce Campbell.
Bruce Campbell would be awesome.
He might not be big enough. But that whole thing is like, you know, people are going to ask that question because, you know, the governor's dead now, you know, and people want that new big bad guy. And I don't think Terminus.
What everybody's talking about.
Yeah. Terminus is exciting because we want to know what it is. We want to know what the secret is. We want to know what the story is. You know, we want to know what's going to happen. So, I mean, I'm not saying Terminus is a flop, but Terminus is not personified. Like, there's not, you know, and Gareth, come on, Gareth's not scary.
Right.
Like, he's not scary at all. But people are wanting that, you know, that big bad guy again, the Mad Max character, you know, like they're looking for that guy again. And so I think that's why all the conversation of Negan's coming up is because he is that, you know.
And like, is after Negan, or I don't even know, is Negan still in the comic now? I think he's not.
I don't want to spoil the comic.
So, yeah, okay. But anyway,
there's been a recent event, yeah.
Yeah. So, if you're talking about how long the show's going to go, if, say, Negan is the biggest villain, it would it not make sense?
I think so far, yeah.
Would it not make sense? If you're going to end the show, would it not make sense to end the show with your biggest villain?
Yeah, but we don't know where the comic's going next.
Right.
I mean, but yeah, I know what you mean. If the show, if their rhythm for the comic is obviously different than the rhythm for the show, their rhythm for the show, I'm not saying doom and gloom, they're ending in season 7, but the show's not going to go on as long as the comic. The show is going to end 7, 9, it's not going to go on 12 seasons.
No,
you know?
I don't think so either.
And if that's the case, are they really going to set up 2 more villains?
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, exactly. And they're not going to end on something like Terminus. They're going to end where something happens.
The biggest, baddest,
to the
craziest
big bad guy.
shit's going to go on, and then that's how.
What if they? I mean, well, if it's not Negan, if they just make up. So I was going to say, what if they just make up a whole new villain? They could just make up a villain for the TV show. Yeah, and honestly, personally, I'd be okay with that.
Yeah,
I wouldn't care. Yeah, but comic fans would hate that. But comic fans already hate this show.
Right.
This, you know, the kind of the stuck up ones anyway.
Right.
And I'm a comic fan. I'm just not a Walking Dead comic fan. But yeah, like they could make up a whole new villain, and I think a big majority of their audience would be okay with it. But it would be a big enough chunk of their audience that would be against the idea. And honestly, if I had read the comics, I would be against it. Yeah. So I mean, I can understand it, is what I'm saying. I think that they're not going to do that. There's not going to be a Negan lookalike.
No.
If they're going to do anything remotely close to that, it's going to be Negan.
He's going to be, yeah.
Yeah, it's 100% going to be. And I kind of feel like this season, maybe at the end of this season, whether we see his face or not, you know, I mean, maybe we see him slinging his bat or something right at the end of the season. Whether we see something like that or not, there will be some sort of clue as to where they're going.
Oh, yeah.
And where they're going will be where he's at. There'll be some, I say the end of season 5, we will know just that he's just over the hill.
Right.
Now, I do think it's early to introduce him though. But I think that's what Scott Gimple is saying here is 99% sure he's showing up. And I'm 100% sure I'm 120% sure he's showing up. And but I wouldn't expect him too soon. I don't think he's going to be in season 5 at all. If he is, it's right at the end. And it may be like a mid-season teaser for 6.
If
like
they,
it's
I was going to say, yeah, if they wrap up Terminus in the first half, totally wrap Terminus up, then definitely they have to. Now, if Terminus carries over into the second half, I can see it spilling over, but yeah.
I don't think so.
The way the show's been going, though, they've been doing these half-season blocks.
I think that Terminus will not necessarily, like everything that we learn about Terminus over the course of the first half of the season, I don't think will wrap up in the first half. But are they going to be like locked up in a train car by mid-season finale? No. Like, and that's being facetious. Of course they're not. But I mean, like, Terminus, the shit's going down at Terminus before mid-season. Mid-season finale is Rick's in control. of things again. Like I don't think they're no longer in a place of submission by the mid-season finale, but the people that they meet at Terminus, the different things they learn about the people there, something will carry over. Something that we just don't know yet is going to be the last half.
Well, that's what I'm thinking is, it pretty much is done by that end of that first half. And the distance between Georgia and
it's pretty far.
Alexandria is pretty far.
Yeah.
So, they
got to walk right over us.
I was going to say, yeah. And they're not just going to skip.
I hope they go to Anderson. What if they go to Anderson?
That'd be awesome. But, they're not going to just skip from the mid-season finale to Alexandria and not talk about anything in between. So what I'm thinking is so they kind of wrap up Terminus, and then the second half of the season will be them,
the group,
getting organized and going there, and then maybe by the end of season 5, they're just outside, and then that's when you see.
But is that not? But is that not almost exactly what we got in season 4?
It is.
And I'm not saying that The Walking Dead's above doing that. Sometimes they do things like that where you're kind of like, I really thought they'd do something different and they didn't. But like season 4 was pretty much wrapping up the prison story.
And then walking to Terminus.
And then this is going to be wrapping up the Terminus story and then walking to Alexandria. Yeah, so maybe they will plan on stretching it out over the whole season. I don't know. But we do have a little bit of a news article about so I got to pull up the thing because I'll be honest with you. I didn't read all these tweets before putting it in the show notes. I was just like, yeah, we'll talk about that. So the crew has been tweeting different things about the weather, about just different things, and so and all the clues from their tweets are kind of revealing that they are filming the show like right now as we speak in Georgia because the guy that plays Abraham, he tweeted a thunderstorm just passed through. Guess my location, y'all. So I think he put y'all in there because he was trying to throw a bone to Georgia. Although he might be Southern in real life, I don't know. Thunderstorms. I think at the time of this post, it was big thunderstorms going on in Atlanta. And this was April 28th. So this was just last month. The girl, Josh McDermott. Oh, that's Eugene. Eugene said real men get their hair did together, and then he had some hashtags and an Instagram photo. The Instagram photo was him and Abraham, I believe, or somebody. I can't click on it. Someone else from the show, I don't know who this is, made it down to Hotlanta, y'all. Y'all again.
Y'all.
Let's get to work. And that was the 28th and May 1st. So Eugene's was on May 1st. And so...
And I told you I saw Norman Reedus posted that picture of the mug and the gun, and it said Georgia.
Yeah.
So,
well, what was the day? So, and maybe they just had a break from filming, but there was a picture of Andrew Lincoln and Glenn playing golf.
Yeah.
Probably also in Georgia.
Probably.
Yeah. So they're obviously in Georgia right now. They're doing the filming thing. Now, the reason, so that seems obvious. Like, of course they're filming right now. Like, why are you even making this show news? So recently, like 2 weeks ago, we didn't put it on the last show notes because it happened in the 2 weeks between our last episode and now. Chandler Riggs, Carl, did an interview at some con or something and said that he hadn't received a script yet. That he didn't know what was gonna happen. That he hadn't seen a script yet. And they're filming in like a week or something like that. And so that seems to coincide correct. Like he said, we're filming in a week. So I mean, about a week later, we started getting these tweets about they're in Georgia filming. But I'm questioning why Chandler Riggs hasn't gotten a script yet. I mean, did they just show up on set and they tell him what they're going to do and they learn other lines now? But Andrew Lincoln's way too much of a method actor to do that.
Right.
I think he knows where his character is going pretty far in advance and he lives it. Like he's just that kind of actor.
Right.
So, I mean, does this reveal, and without reading too much into it, although we kind of have to, does this reveal anything about Chandler Riggs' character on the show?
I don't know if it...
They're obviously not filming in order. So,
right.
So it doesn't mean that he's not going to be in the first episode. But they may be filming in some weird sequence where they're not doing any of Chandler Riggs, scenes until later in the summer. And if that's the case, then why is he in the season so little? Of course, he wasn't in last season all that much, honestly, if you really think about it.
Well, I mean, and if he's not, I mean, he would even, if he's not, where would he be?
Right, that's what I'm getting at. Like, does Chandler Riggs die? Like, does Carl die? Or is he, like, locked away somewhere? Or half his body's eaten or something? Like, what could he be doing that he's not in that many scenes? And I don't know. I gotta figure Rick is a big part of this season. Like, there's no, like, last season we had the whole thing where Rick was like, the last half of last season, Rick's all beaten up and asleep for half the season. Yeah. They're not doing that again. This season is all about Rick being a badass.
This is Rick. Yeah. I could see it not even necessarily having anything to do with the actual show as far as what's on the show. It might just be that, who knows, maybe they didn't want to give him a script. He's a kid.
He might mess up. Yeah.
Maybe he might mess up and release something or do something. So they're like, let's kind of
that happened to
keep it under wraps here.
Exactly. And that's probably the case because they do keep this really tight under wraps. Like I remember hearing stories about Lost where, there's the scene that, I was about to ask a really stupid question. Of course we did a Lost podcast together. Have you ever watched The Walking Dead? I just want to know, Dave.
Never heard of
it. There's a scene in Lost where John, if you never watched Lost, I'm sorry. John Locke is in a coffin. Well, they filmed that scene with each character in the coffin, and they had different scripts for each one. Right. And the actors didn't know
who was in it. Yeah,
they didn't know until they saw it on the air who it was going to be.
Right.
And The Walking Dead is not quite that secretive. The show's not a mystery in the way Lost was, but it shows you how much they protect that investment of, like, it's worth a certain amount to them that spoilers don't get released. Like, that's of a certain value, and they protect that investment,
Well, one of the biggest spoilers in movie, TV history, Darth Vader's father is Luke's father.
Yeah.
The guy who actually played Darth Vader was notorious for spilling stuff. And so, it's James Earl Jones' voice, obviously, is Darth Vader. The voice,
yeah.
So when they filmed that scene, the only people that knew the true story were George Lucas, Lawrence Kasdan, and Mark Hamill. And when they filmed it, the guy playing Darth Vader says, "No, Obi-Wan is your father." They purposely wrote the scene wrong, so that he even wouldn't know the true story. And then James Earl Jones went back and dubbed it, and that's how they kept it secret. 3 people, and then James Earl Jones when he recorded it.
Wow.
And, apparently that guy was telling all kinds of crap. And, that's before, the internet age and all that, and it still got out, so.
That's hilarious. That's pretty good. But yeah, like, I kind of think that might be the plan, is they give Chandler Riggs gets his script way after the fact. But I was going to say, at Dragon Con, it was right after the first season of The Walking Dead, so that was 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Dragon Con 3 years ago, the girl that plays Sophia, so this is in August, they were filming season 2, and again, they film out of sequence. They probably filmed the ending first because it's the most important. Right. They want to do the most editing on it. They want to make sure it's there. If Sophia falls into a well and we can't find her for the rest of the season, at least they got the ending. Well, the girl that plays Sophia was at that Dragon Con, and someone said, what was it like, something, and she blurts out, it was so freaky seeing myself as a zombie. Like, it was so freaky seeing myself that way. And nobody had seen that yet, know? and they kind of brushed it off and just, continued the conversation somewhere else. They didn't make a big deal about it. Cause honestly, I was in the audience. I saw this.
Right.
And I didn't catch it. Until I saw the midseason. And I remembered her saying something similar to that because they just kind of laughed about how she didn't understand the question.
Right.
And, yeah. So, I mean, yeah, kids screw it up sometimes.
Right.
And how could they have fixed that where they're like, they filmed her as a zombie getting shot by Rick, and then they filmed her as just a normal little girl getting shot by Rick. And so she tells everybody, yeah, Rick kills me.
Rick kills me. Won't say how. He made
but yeah,
disappear.
So I think more than anything, it's just an example that they
how
give.
secret they are.
They're really secretive of it. And I don't think Chandler Riggs is dying. But it does bring the question: could Chandler Riggs die? Do you think this show would continue if they killed Carl?
If it depends on how you look at it. If you say they're going to go 7 to 9 seasons, something like that,
they'd want to keep him a little longer.
Well, I could see him killing them.
Oh,
no
really?
Problem. If it goes like they're saying, like in that interview, hey, it could go 12 seasons, whatever.
There's no way it goes.
And they could change cast and all that. I said in the last show, I think if one person survives the whole group, it would be him.
Yeah.
So, I could see them killing him, but at the same time, okay, so you got Lori, and then obviously Judith is going to die at some point.
I'm surprised she's still alive.
I'm still surprised she's alive.
I think it's more shocking that she's alive.
I do too. And because in the comics, she didn't make it that long.
Yeah. Plus, I can't believe that they actually made it this far, keeping the show interesting with the baby. I really thought it was going to be such a game changer but we said that about Merle. I said Merle will never join the group.
Right.
Because Merle and Daryl meet each other, that means Merle's dead. There's no way Merle's going to... And then he was in the group for like four episodes. Yeah. And it could have went on, is the thing.
Right. And they begrudgingly accepted him.
Yeah. So this show has a really good way of reinventing itself that way,
And so, I could see, but I can't see them. It's almost cliche. You kill Lori, you kill Judith, you kill Carl. At some point.
Yeah. Rick could just be.
Yeah. It's only so much that Rick's going to be like, I'm going to avenge Lori. I'm going to do this for Judith. I'm going to do this for Carl. It's like.
Yeah. How much more of Rick's
I can see it more
story.
I can see it more the other way where Rick dies and then Carl gets that kind of thing.
Which we were on.
There you go.
Oh yeah. That's one way I can tell what time it is too. I know we're almost out of time. We are way over time because I've had to play 2 episodes now.
Man.
We're on our 3rd episode. Yeah, Rick. The thing is, today you said you saw some preview for a new show that's coming out that had Andrew Lincoln in it.
Yeah, right.
That was our sign that the governor was dying.
Yeah, exactly.
Was that he was in some other show?
So
maybe we shouldn't be worried about Carl. We should be more worried about Andrew Lincoln. But I'll do more research about that and talk about it next week. Let's see, real quick. We got I found an episode description. I wanted to go over. So IMDb already has the episode description for episode 1 of season 5. It's a really short description. It's probably not the final description. When the episode when it comes out, just based on their previous show descriptions, they're all 3 sentences long. This 1-sentence description will probably be replaced, but IMDb had to get this description from somewhere. I have no idea how they do it. I don't know if they've got a guy that works for IMDb that writes the descriptions for the episodes, or if it's just like a thing with, like a guy that works for AMC submits a description and then they approve it. I don't know. But season 5, episode 1, the 1-sentence description is: after learning that Terminus was nothing but a trap, Rick and the group must do whatever it takes to escape. Now, here's the reason I wanted to talk about this on the show, because I said that episode 1 could just be all flashback. It sounds, based on IMDb's description, it sounds like it actually is going to be about Rick trying to escape from Terminus's boxcar. But again, how much faith do we put in that? I don't know.
Right.
I don't know how much faith to put in that.
That says a lot, but it's very vague as well.
Yeah. It's very vague, but it's very vague. It's intentionally vague. The point of the sentence is to be vague.
Right.
But it also, I kind of can read into it that it does describe Rick and the group, though. I mean, it does describe, there are nouns in it.
Right.
Like, it does describe that the episode is going to be about that, in fact, which, in a way, it could be about that just with 90% flashbacks. You know what I mean? It could be that just 10% of the episode is about that. But in a way, it to me just kind of, if the first episode, which I kind of got the sneaking and still have somewhat of a sneaking suspicion that they're going to try to throw a curveball at us. So Walking Dead does try to do that. And the curveball is going to be that episode 1, season 5 is going to be about Terminus's past.
Right.
And not Rick's group. Only this description describes Rick's group and not Terminus at all. I mean, it just says that Terminus is nothing but a trap.
Right.
And to
which
say,
we know.
Yeah, well, we know it's a trap, but to say it's nothing but a trap is a little bit like disingenuous to my description of the first episode, which is going to be, we're going to learn what Terminus is besides just a trap.
Besides just a trap.
So
right.
I don't know. I still think that might happen, but IMDb is saying otherwise. So you choose who you want to believe.
Right.
I wanted to go over the Japanese promos before we got off. Maybe I can play those in the outro. And
they're so hilarious.
Yeah, they are pretty good. Let's go ahead and do that. That's the last thing. I think that's the last notes we got. Let's see. We talked about Kirkman, we talked about Seth Gilliam, we talked about Burton, we talked about Scott Gimple on Negan. The cast tweets, Chandler Riggs not getting the thing. Yeah. All right, we're good. Other than the Japanese promos, let's go over those, and then we'll get out of here.
Konnichiwa.
Does that mean hello and goodbye? Is it like aloha?
I think so.
I don't know.
We're gonna say it does. So.
Oh, and I thought it was something kind of weird about these. So here's the audio from one of them.
Konnichiwa. I'm Andrew Lincoln.
I'm Norman Reedus.
The Walking Dead is on a break at the moment.
Season 4 will be coming back to Fox Japan very soon.
And it's going to be better than ever.
So don't miss it.
Ouch.
ウォーキングデッドシーズン4第2幕3月2日日曜夜11時スタート I love Fox.
I love Fox.
Walking Dead-o.
Is it weird that half of it was in English and half of it was in Japanese?
Right.
Is all Japanese television that way?
And it's on Fox? Is that the same Fox?
Yeah, it looks the same.
Fox Broadcasting? I wonder if
it's the same logo.
Really?
Yeah.
That's weird.
You don't think copyright laws work across the
No, I'm just saying.
They wouldn't let them play it on some other Fox.
No, I'm just saying it's on Fox and not, I guess AMC isn't.
Shit! Oh, God! Yeah, you're right. I didn't even catch that. It's on Fox. What?
Yeah, I mean,
What?
that's weird.
Whoa. I didn't even realize that. All right, so by the next episode, I'm going to Google why does The Walking Dead come on Fox in Japan?
And I know that Fox doesn't have anything to do with AMC. I mean, that's not their parent company or anything, so.
Oh my God.
Really strange.
No, that's bizarre. Oh, well, all right.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I thought it was weird. Like, what if we had some Japanese television show that aired over here and the actors spoke in Japanese, but yet the announcer guy spoke in English? That'd be the way that was. Like,
right?
That would be the reverse of that. And then it turns out they're on a different channel. What? All right, well, here's the other one. This one's a little more obvious. I don't know how it's going to work. It's just kind of showing
showing Andrew Lincoln and Norman Reedus.
Like eating rice. Yeah.
日本での休息はもうおしまい。ウォーキングデッドシーズン4第2幕3月2日夜11時スタート。
I like the Japanese Walking Dead theme.
Oh, and it's got some outtakes at the end. Norman Reedus making faces at Andrew Lincoln. Andrew Lincoln cursing. Norman Reedus putting his finger in Andrew Lincoln's ear. And then Fox again. The same Fox logo as the American logo. That's so weird.
That is weird.
That's tripping me out. I can't. I watched that trailer all week long, and I didn't even catch that.
I mean,
I love Fox.
I guess I'll assume that maybe AMC isn't global, and so they have to sell the distribution rights to somebody else. Over,
yeah,
you know.
That is so bizarre. I know that whenever I do film flams with Australian David, thanks for being on the show last week, by the way. We have to pick a place in the movie to pause it. Like, we can't just start the movie at the same time because, like, in America, it may be distributed by, like, you know, Universal may be a bad example because they pretty much are global, but, like, it may be distributed by, yeah, they're Universal. It may be distributed by, you know, Joe's.
Right.
And then in Australia, it's distributed by, you know, Bad Robot, J.J. Abrams' company. And then so if we both start the movie at the same time, we have different, you know, those stupid little logo things that play at the beginning of movies? Those will be different for me and him, you know? And so we have to start it when the movie actually starts.
Movie starts, yeah.
So maybe it's something like that. There's a different distribution company other than AMC that is in Japan. God, that's so bizarre.
That's bizarre.
You know what else is weird? They blur out penises in Japanese porn. I don't know if you ever knew that.
We were talking about that the other
day. I wasn't going to reveal that was actually a prior conversation.
I mean, no big surprise, really.
Yeah. Whoa! Whoa! That was a good pun. I don't know if it was meant to be a pun. All right, let me find us some outro music.
Oh, konnichiwa.
No big surprise. Okay, you can go. Oh, God. Advertisement.
Oh.
All right, guys. Thanks for listening to Talk the Walk. This was episode 24. I think we're going to call it the end of The Walking Dead. The Walking Dead
is near.
The end is nigh. No, I'm not really going to call it that. I don't know what I'll call it, but we'll figure out something from the show. No big surprise. Episode 24, no big surprise.
No big surprise.
No, but that makes it sound like we don't have any news, though.
Big surprise.
Mucho big surprise-o. And you can find more great shows like this over at undercastnetwork.com. I do a show where I get drunk and watch movies. I do a show where I get drunk and talk about movies. And they're not all drunk, and they're not all me. There's lots of great shows over at undercastnetwork.com. You can find more Talk the Walk at talkthewalk.com. We forgot to announce we're on iTunes.
Oh, yeah, we are on iTunes.
Yeah, we should have mentioned that at the beginning of the show. We'll remember it next week. Right. So we're on iTunes for the first time ever for the whole, 2 years of doing Talk the Walk, or however long we've been doing it. We haven't been on iTunes because they keep shooting us down because we keep putting zombies in our logos, and I don't know, they don't like zombies. Don't get it. But we are now on iTunes, so find us on iTunes by searching Talk the Walk. I'll have a link to it on our website, and like and subscribe. Write a description, or if you give us I'm not going to ask for ratings. You can give us a 1-star rating. I don't care. You give us a rating and you put a comment. I'm going to find something. I'll announce it next week. I'm going to find something really cool to do for one random person that puts a comment on iTunes. I've been doing this whole nerd culture podcasting thing for a long time now, 5 years, and I have an office full of original art. I've got, figurines from The Walking Dead. I've got something I can give you. So we'll figure that out by next week, and you will get a prize directly delivered by me. Just put a comment on iTunes, give us an honest rating, and it better be good. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
Could be a shit bag.